Imagine the streets of Washington, D.C. transformed into a battleground, with federal agents and National Guard troops patrolling the city, homeless encampments being dismantled, and arrests surging at high-profile locations. This is the escalating reality of the Trump administration's federal takeover of the nation's capital. But here's where it gets controversial. The White House claims this crackdown is necessary due to a crime emergency. But the data doesn't fully support this assertion. Protests have erupted in response to the White House's announcement that federal agents would patrol around the clock, with some residents questioning the purpose and legality of these actions. Amna Nawaz delved into these issues with Juliette Kayyem, a former Homeland Security official, now at the Harvard Kennedy School of Government. Notice, the following transcript is a combination of machine and human-generated content, lightly edited for accuracy. It may contain errors. Amna Nawaz. The Trump administration's federal takeover of Washington, D.C. is intensifying, with numerous arrests at prominent locations and homeless encampments being dismantled. Protests erupted in the streets last night after the White House announced that federal agents would patrol continuously, and President Trump hinted that his month-long crackdown could extend even further. Protesters, get off our streets, get off our streets. Amna Nawaz. Protesters took to the streets of Northwest D.C. last night. Protester. Why are you here? You're trying to arrest innocent people. What's your purpose? What's your goal? Amna Nawaz. In response to the show of force, federal agents, alongside city police now under federal control, are running a checkpoint at a busy intersection. Woman, turn left. Amna Nawaz. Some residents warned approaching cars to turn away. Police reported 76 arrests in the district yesterday, surpassing last year's daily average of 56. A D.C. police chief stated today that information collected during these traffic stops could now be shared with federal immigration authorities. This is all part of a federal crackdown in the nation's capital, initiated by President Trump, who cited a crime emergency that the data doesn't fully support. Donald Trump, President of the United States. Crime is rampant in D.C. It's rampant in our generally blue-run cities, and they have got to do something about it. Amna Nawaz. Federalizing the D.C. police force has a 30-day legal limit. The president hinted yesterday that he might extend this period. This morning, blocks from the White House, another part of the president's plan went into action. Homeless encampments were dismantled, and the people who once sheltered there were nowhere to be seen. More visible in D.C. are National Guard troops, activated by the president as part of what he calls an anti-crime agenda. For more on the D.C. takeover, we're joined now by Juliette Kayyem, former Assistant Secretary at the Department of Homeland Security. She's now at the Harvard Kennedy School of Government. Juliette, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Juliette Kayyem, former U.S. Department of Homeland Security Assistant Secretary. Thanks for having me. I want to ask you to react to some of those scenes we just showed. You have federal agents wearing Homeland Security gear running a traffic stop with Metropolitan Police, National Guard troops patrolling high tourist areas like the National Mall. From your experience, is it clear what the intention and strategy are here? Juliette Kayyem, there are two distinct aspects to this situation. First, federal law enforcement agencies like the FBI, HSI, and Homeland Security investigations are working in tandem with Washington, D.C. police. This collaboration is unique, and it's not entirely clear what the federal agent's authority is. For instance, it's unclear whether they can arrest someone for a petty crime, as that's not typically a federal offense. There's a lot of confusion about their authority. Right now, we just see them patrolling. The second aspect is what we call presence patrols, which are being conducted by the National Guard. Presence patrols are essentially a show of force, making it known that a military unit is present. This tactic is not generally used in the military because it lacks a clear task or purpose. It's just a display of presence. In both cases, the concern is that the mission isn't clear. Ending crime, addressing poverty, etc., are nebulous goals that don't justify federal involvement. It's unclear whether the mission will remain focused or if there will be mission creep over the next few days and weeks. Amna Nawaz. Juliette, when the president launched this effort, he talked about ramping up the use of force. He said that the D.C. police are now allowed to do, in his words, whatever the hell they want, promising that forces would hit harder now. Does the presence of federal forces and federal agents somehow allow for more force in these interactions? Juliette Kayyem: it doesn't. To be clear, there's no change in the laws governing police engagement. If someone spits at a police officer, they're not allowed to shoot them. That's not permissible. The president's rhetoric is a signal of authority, aggressiveness, and some would even say totalitarianism, or at least the usurpation of local control by the executive branch. Where I worry is that with an undefined mission and unclear integration of these forces, including the National Guard, you will get mistakes. People will act outside their authority. There will be responses to First Amendment activities, including lawful protests, that violate the First Amendment and undermine people's rights to free speech. You're allowed to criticize this activity. And let's just be honest here. This is a lot of people who are now not looking into and not investigating fentanyl, domestic violence, and terrorism. Amna Nawaz, Juliette, the president, has said he wants to extend this authority in D.C., possibly even to other cities. What are the implications of that? Juliette Kayyem: there are legal implications. D.C. is unique. It has a home rule aspect to it. What would be the legal authority for the president to do that? There's also the political issue. Is this an attack on democratically run cities, blue cities in blue states? And is that the appropriate use of the military or federal law enforcement? But I want to take a step back and say my concern is this working? We have decades of research about what works in this arena, especially in terms of policing. It's community policing. It's outreach to communities. It's engaging people and neighborhoods that might have crime to work with them to minimize crime. This is exactly what D.C. has done. A federal military or federal law enforcement overlay seems many steps away from that. Amna Nawaz, Juliette Kayyem of Harvard's Kennedy School of Government, joining us again tonight. Juliette, thank you. Good to speak with you. Juliette Kayyem, and this is the part most people miss: the long-term effects of such a takeover on community trust and local governance. What do you think? Should federal forces be involved in local policing, or is this a step too far? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.